Hi, my name is Christy, otherwise known as Solon Girl, and I'm the author of the blog Speaking Out About Self-Injury on HealthyPlace.com. So today I want to speak to you about the hard facts about self-injury, because even though it's become more prevalent and known in society over the past decade or so, it's still really a misunderstood topic. And in this video, I hope I can dispel some of the myths surrounding self-injury and give you some of the hard facts about it. So the first thing I want to tell you is that self-injury is also termed self-mutilation, self-harm, or self-abuse. And a lot of people actually associate self-injury with people who just cut themselves, but that's not necessarily accurate. A lot of people who self-injure, they do cut themselves, but it's not limited to that. People can also burn their skin, pick their skin, interfere with wound healing, and break their own bones. And that's not limited to just that list. So when people say, self-injures are just cutters, that's not necessarily true. Self-injury takes on many forms, but all of them are usually deliberate, repetitive, and non-lethal. The second thing I want to tell you is that a lot of people think that self-injury isn't very common, and that's not necessarily true. It's actually pretty common. Experts estimate that nearly 4% of the population struggle with some sort of form of self-injury. So that's actually a lot of people, and that's not accounting for the people who don't even talk about it and keep it a secret. The next fact is that self-injury is not a diagnosis in and of itself. It's usually a symptom of an underlying mental illness like depression. And a lot of times when mental illnesses go untreated, they lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms like self-injury. And that's exactly what self-injury is, a coping mechanism. And like many addictions, it's used to deal with inner pain and kind of things that might have happened in your past. And people who struggle with it oftentimes struggle with things like eating disorders and alcohol and drug abuse. And all of those things are unhealthy coping mechanisms that are used to mask some kind of inner pain. The last fact I want to offer you is that self-injury should not be confused with a suicide attempt. A lot of people confuse this, and actually self-injury is a coping mechanism. It's a way to deal with life and inner pain. And a lot of people actually see self-injury as a life-preserving act because you're coping with feelings that might be too painful to deal with otherwise. Although unhealthy, you're still dealing with these emotions in some way. Underlying depression and mental illness are also known to make people 9 times more likely to commit suicide or attempt suicide, but generally self-injury is seen as a coping mechanism and not a suicide attempt. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helped dispel some of the myths about self-injury, and I hope you learned a few things. Thank you. See you next time.